Welcome back to a brand new season of Rip It Up. Every renovation teaches you something, but it's only after you've lived through the dust, the delays and the decisions, and then done it again like me, that the real lessons appear. This season, we're revisiting our biggest renovation topics, not with theory, not with optimism, but with hindsight. Process, planning, lighting, kitchens, bathroom, windows, what worked, what didn't, and what we'd never do the same way again. This is What We Wish We Knew Then.
Welcome back to the podcast. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jen.
We did cover kitchens last week and there's more to say on it, but we'll come back to that because some of that stuff can be left till a little bit later. And we're doing things very timelined and orderly in how you will approach it in your renovation. So we're going to talk about bathrooms.
Yeah.
One of my favourite topics because I love tiles. So we'll get to that. But there's a lot to talk about.
I struggle a bit with bathrooms, if I'm honest. Like I've kind of made the mistakes and kind of improved every time, but it's not something that I love planning out. Because I think, like we always say about vanities are such a rip-off, I just feel like...
Such a rip-off.
I don't know. It's hard to get really nice finishes that don't cost the absolute earth for bathrooms.
Yeah, totally. And there's not that many nice places to go. I just feel like you walk into a bathroom showroom, you're met with this like MDF vanity for like 600 or 700 quid, which just doesn't even look nice. And then you're met with these very generic porcelain slab tiles, which like they're fine, but they're not winning any prizes, you know?
No.
And like, I just think to get the basics, it's expensive. And there's a lot of things on trend with bathrooms at the moment that I really don't like. I don't like mirrors that have lights in them. Sorry to anyone who has those with the LED lights in them.
I do have one exception to that. There's a lovely IKEA one now, actually. It's just a circular mirror and it's just got a circular opal glass globe light built into it. It's very minimal.
Oh yeah, that's
simple.
fine.
It's not, I think that looks quite cool. But usually the kind of square mirror with the square trim of light around the edge, no, not for me. They just never.
And to be honest, I think the reason that I usually don't like it is because the light that comes out of it tends to be very blue. I don't really like it anyway, to be honest, but I think they just tend to be a really kind of clinical, harsh looking light that doesn't make me look good, so I don't like it.
Yeah, it's true.
But I am all for it. Okay, let's start at the start. So first of all,
layouts.
First things first, when you get to your bathroom, you just plan your layout, what's going to go where. And we spoke about this in our previous episode about the mechanical, one of our previous episodes about the mechanical planning, because you need to know where your toilet, where your sink, where your electrics are going to go, and then where the pipes from those are going to go, because that could mess up your room design. So
and most crucially, I guess, your toilet, because we said like in that last mechanical episode that your toilet pipe is much bigger than everything else. But knowing where those kind of main points of water and wastewater are going is your first thing. And like one of the first things you should kind of know then is spacing. Like a toilet needs 800 millimeters from,
around
400 mil from center to center, so like the toilet width itself, like the cistern and all that might be 500 or 600, but you still need to allow 800 for the total toilet spacing, because your legs, you have to sit on it. Someone has to sit on it. So you can't jam a toilet up against a wall. So you have to allow, your toilet waste pipe to be at least 400 millimeters out from whatever the closest wall is. And then 400 millimeters in the other direction
on either side.
And remember, because I made the stupid mistake before, I didn't allow enough knee clearance in the front and I had to change the orientation of my toilet kind of late in one of my planning. You need about 600 or 700 millimeters in front of the toilet for your knees to go.
So if you are, which I really recommend, if you're planning your toilet layout, right? So if you just draw like a box or a square or whatever size your toilet is, or your bathroom is that you're trying to like fit everything into. And if you're drawing out a box for your toilet so that you can move that around and see where it could go in that space, the box you have to draw is 800 by 700. So 800 wide and 700 deep. And that's the space that you have to leave around it. And like nothing else can go close to that. I think I've really pushed the boundary of that in my own downstairs toilet. Like it is right down to the millimetre in terms of how much clearance there is, but it works, so it's fine.
Yeah, I think like knee clearance is probably even more important than getting the full 800 mil width wise. You could probably live with 700 if you had a tight space, maybe 750 or 700, but like you need the knee clearance in front, otherwise someone can't sit in the toilet. So it is important. And then I think that kind of is your anchor point, and then I work kind of out from that. And like I see so many plans with toilets. The first thing you see when you go into a bathroom, you open a door and the toilet's there. Like I would always plan it if I had the choice that it's out of sight.
Yeah.
Like nobody needs to be looking at a toilet. So like I don't know, if you have the flexibility at the start, I'd put the toilet out of sight, behind the door, into the corner, something. So like the first thing you kind of see when you come in is your maybe nice vanity, or maybe a nice shower area if your shower area looks really nice,
or your bath if you're doing a lovely freestanding
bath, of course, like under a window or something like that. That'd be lovely. That'd be your focal point. But like making your toilet your focal point, I don't know, I think should be avoided if you can at all.
Now, listener, it's up to you. I mean, maybe you have a lovely toilet.
Yeah, maybe you one of those Japanese Toto toilets, you know, the throne, like you go
best. Yeah, raise it up, put it on a pedestal. If you have one of those, please do, because they're expensive. So you should have that. Okay, so that's your toilet. Next thing that I would put in, it depends on what bathroom you're doing. So if you're just doing your downstairs loo, the only other thing you need to think about is your basin, your sink basin. If it's going to be, you know, your main bathroom or a shower room, then you need to think about your shower and your bath, obviously.
Yeah.
But your basin, first of all, they can be really small. If it's a downstairs bathroom, you can go really, really tiny with these. Like they don't need to take up that much space. You don't really need a vanity even. You could just have exposed pipes and a basin sink.
Yeah.
And just make
I think anything
nice
under
pipes.
500 ml, go with just a floating sink and the bottle trap and maybe a shelf underneath, because I think vanities below that kind of 550, 500 ml look a bit bitty.
Yeah.
And they look like crappy bits of furniture, and small furniture sometimes actually makes a space feel smaller. And like I would probably put in the biggest vanity I can fit comfortably. So like try and flush it out with the wall so it doesn't step in or out. And if it's in a kind of if it's in the width of a small downstairs toilet, go wall to wall. Like why leave a little gap either side? So I think it actually makes the room feel bigger when you fit, you know, wider, longer units that fit into the space well, and they feel more custom then. And sometimes I think if it's a teeny tiny bathroom, get it up off the floor, whether it's on legs or it's a wall mounted drawer vanity or something like that.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree. And you can get those kind of just free, they look like freestanding little kind of basin holders almost. They're not like enclosed vanities, but they might have a little towel holder on it or something like that just has everything you need. And that's it. So yeah, I think that's
if you love like those really free nice. Or those wall mounted basins, like the stone ones and stuff like that, a lot of people are going for those now, or the coloured concrete ones and stuff like that.
That's what I have.
A great place actually for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I got mine on Etsy. I have a concrete basin that I got on Etsy from a guy who makes things called Roberto Taranti. I'll put him into the show notes. He was fantastic. I'd really recommend him.
Yeah.
Or even if you look him up and see that kind of style, I'm sure you'll get other suggestions of others as well that you can browse around. But he has lovely stuff. And then there's beautiful but really expensive ones from the London Basin Company. Have you seen those? They're these gorgeous, like decorated basin sinks, and they're so beautiful. But they're really expensive. But you can get lots of that type of style on Etsy.
But I think, if you have a tiny one, have a tiny, spectacular stone basin or coloured concrete rather than a tiny, bitty vanity that won't look that impressive.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
And the other thing as well then is if you're not doing the enclosed vanity, that you're going to see the pipework coming out from that sink.
Yeah, so you have to get your bottle trap.
You have to get your bottle trap, and you probably want to make it look good. So that might mean investing, like upgrading from what might just be plastic pipes that are hidden away from behind a vanity into something sturdier and better looking.
That probably matches your tap as well, right? So if you have like a black tap, it has to be a black bottle trap or a chrome tap or whatever, that they all match. And I think crucially in your sink, it's nice if your click-clack waste, you know, your like whole thing, if they all kind of match, it's nice.
Oh yeah.
Or if you have a white basin, I love just a matte white waste, you know, so then it's almost invisible.
Agreed.
But like try to keep those kind of cohesive or matched up basins, I think.
Yeah. And they are things worth investing in, because the cheap ones, they chip and they wear away, and a few years later you're just going to have to replace them anyway. Now you can buy temporary ones now and invest later if you need to save up in the meantime, but just be aware that you are paying for quality. You're paying for longevity with those fixtures.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think once you get into hardware and brassware in bathrooms, it's like looking at jewelry. Like it's kind of, you go down a bit of a rabbit hole. It's a little bit like lighting as well, right? What you don't know, you're like, oh, it's just a tap. But then when you actually start looking at the really nice brands like Samuel Heath and maybe, you know, Lefroy Brooks, or a lesser extent, maybe Burlington mid-range or something, then you're like, oh, these actually do look really nice. And then you start comparing them, and then you start upgrading to the next levels and stuff. But if it's not something you're into, it's not something you're into, so don't pay for it. But if it is,
especially if it's going to be hidden, don't bother. Like just you just need something sturdy that's going to not have to be fixed, and that's it. What are your thoughts on the tap itself being wall mounted versus just coming up?
I have wall mounted because I think it's just a bit less mess to kind of tidy around. But I will say wall mounted taps, you have to mount them at the right height relative to if you have just a standard undermount basin or you have a countertop basin. So like, you know, decide off your vanity height, and then your countertop basin will probably come up another 150 or 200 millimeters. And then you need your tap wall mounted another 100 or 150 mil above that, so you've clearance. So like usually for a wall mounted tap, you're talking about like 1050 off the floor, 1050 millimeters off the floor. But like I like that if it's done well and it's positioned well, it's clean, and the walls are clean around the taps. You know, the last thing you want is these lovely taps coming out of a wall and they're finished poorly around it. Whether that's bad cuts in a tile or bad plastering up to it so the paint finish isn't nice, or big caulk lines or silicone lines when you wanted a clean little look of wall tap. So it's all about the finishing, I think. But I do love a wall tap if it's done well.
Yeah, I have it in both my bathrooms, because I have basin sinks in both my bathrooms, so the floor mounted wouldn't necessarily work. One thing to be aware of with wall mounted is that you might need to build in front of it. So you might need to have a little facade, like if it, depending on the type of wall, like if it's an internal wall, you can put the pipework for the tap in down through the wall. If it's up against an external wall, you might need to come out a little bit to hide that pipework. So in my downstairs bathroom, there's just paneling that comes out. It's probably about maybe 4 or 5 centimeters from the wall. And what I did there was, instead of just having it in behind the tap, it is fully, it's the full length of the wall. So it kind of becomes a little shelf that runs along the full width of the wall. And I think that looks pretty damn good, if you ask me.
Yeah. Like otherwise it is a big job to kind of channel through, like through solid walls and stuff like that. It can be done, but it's a bigger job. It's something you need to plan a bit sooner. But also, like, channeling walls, I suppose make the decision based on your vanity. And we talked about this in the mechanical plan, like where the pipe's coming from. Are they coming out from the wall? Are they coming out from the floor? Like, you need to plan that out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you need to plan out the whole stack of like the wall tap, or if it's just a standard deck mounted tap, or, you know, is your vanity going to hide all that pipe work, or is it going to be exposed? You need a bottle trap. So you need to kind of think through all these bits. And I always like, anytime I do one-to-ones with people, they're like, I just want the bathroom design. And I'm like, bathrooms are one of the most complicated rooms you'll plan. When you actually look at all the tiny little bits that have to marry up and be spaced right and, you know, decided early, it's one of the most complicated after your kitchen, but they're not far off each other, I think.
Like pipes are a nightmare. And also it's the place where things can go wrong. So just like we said this in the mechanical planning episode, but if you just throw a toilet anywhere, like there's too many failure points, especially if the piping is too long or bends have to happen or whatever. And you do not want that going wrong. So you do have to think about it early and plan it out. Okay, so that is basins, vanities. I'm going to say a word about what goes above your vanity, which I should always be a mirror. But I think anyone mounting a mirror over a sink, you need to put in the biggest mirror that you can get. And I will die on this hill. I hate really, really small little mirrors hanging on the wall. It's exactly to your point about the bathroom vanity. It's kind of a counterintuitive thing. You think if you have a small room, you shrink down the things to put in it, but you're totally right. It just serves to make the room feel smaller and weirdly kind of more cramped. And what will really help, no matter how tiny your bathroom is if you put in the biggest possible mirror, and I really mean like wall to wall, you know, almost floor to ceiling or kind of countertop to ceiling. That is really going to help to make that bathroom feel just bigger, more spacious, airier, everything. And then wall lights on either side of that mirror is, to me, absolutely.
I'm into wall lights on one side, I must say.
One side, it looks nice, but I like having the evenness of lighting when I'm doing my makeup.
Yeah. No, but it's kind of like it's up for debate. I think wall light on both sides is definitely more formal and more, obvious where the light
Yeah.
where the mirror is and everything is centered and symmetrical. And I find putting wall lights off to one side sometimes it's a bit more of a casual look, I suppose. But like I still
Yeah.
think it
It's
works,
elegant.
depending on the fitting and the style of fitting.
Yeah.
But I think plan out for some sort of wiring there anyway. That
Yeah.
you have something for a light and potentially a heated mirror if you're doing a
A
heated mirror.
heated mirror. Talk to us about the heated mirror. This was something you did, and I
Yeah, like sometimes
wish
they're
I did.
integrated into light and heated mirrors. Some of them are just
Hmm.
demister pads on the back. And then you can buy demister pads completely separately that you just stick to the back of a standard glass mirror and that can be wired then to your maybe lights in the bathroom or on a separate circuit or whatever. So like I think I think they're worth putting in, especially if you
Hmm.
don't have an enclosed shower and it gets very steamy and two people are using it or whatever. Otherwise, you're waiting for ages for the place to defog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Talking about enclosed showers, it's something we should probably talk about because it's going to need a lot of time is showers and shower enclosures
Yeah.
and like the types of tray, the types of
Yeah.
enclosure itself, and then where to
Yeah.
put your kind of stuff in there. Because I think I love tileable shower trays, but they're
Yeah.
not without their challenges on first
Yeah.
floors because especially if you've old floors that have a bit of movement in them, those walls and everything in the surrounding area haven't got to be tanked correctly before any
Yeah.
tiled shower tray goes down. Otherwise, you're essentially collecting a bag full of water that has to go somewhere
Yeah.
if it's not
And
done
it's
right.
going
So
into
like,
your floor joists and it's rotting them, and that's going to come
yeah,
back to bite you in
or
the
it's
ass.
coming down your ceiling as well through your
Hmm.
ceiling, which we've had before as well. So like that tanking really has to be done right. And tanking is where you kind of paint on this black, almost like a tar paint, and it's painted around all the kind of areas where water can seep out and maybe 12 to 18 inches up the wall as well. So
Hmm.
essentially, before any kind of shower tray goes in, it should be like a swimming pool that should be able to hold
Yeah.
water almost. And
Hmm.
then your tileable shower tray or your slate shower tray or your standard formed shower tray can kind of
Hmm.
go in there. But tanking once you're upstairs is so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think in any instance, like I love that look of just the same height going into a a shower tray.
Yeah.
It's so nice. It's so elegant. It's just easier. I don't like stepping out of a
Yeah.
heighted shower. But you're right. Your bathroom has to be tanked, and it's not worth doing it if it isn't.
Yeah.
You can get tileable. You can get the slated, as you said, or I just have in my downstairs bathroom. I just have a plain white one
Yeah.
because there wasn't enough space to go further down because I'd
Down.
already dug up the floor to
Yeah.
get a tileable one on it. And it was cheaper, and I think it looks perfect. I think it looks fine because my floor tiles are they're terrazzo, but they're white base, so it kind of blends in quite
You don't
seamlessly.
see it. Yeah. I think
Um,
the most important thing is your shower tray is close enough to your tile floor color
Yeah,
or your
yeah,
floor tile color, and then it seems a bit more seamless. We flushed our tileable shower tray in our last place, but that's really challenging when you have joists upstairs because you have to cut away the joists to a certain level so that everything is sunk in, and so you can get that kind of that level finish between the floor and the shower tray, because obviously under the shower tray you've waste and pipes and whatever, so it needs to be sunken lower before it's tiled in the rest of the floor. So it is challenging and it's more expensive to do.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, to your point, like if it just makes sense to put in a slate shower tray, with the kind of flat, kind of roughened surface, or a formed shower tray that's the same color your tiles. There's so many color shower trays now, whereas they used to just be all white. Now you can kind of match them to your tiles.
yeah,
So that might be a much more straightforward, because I know, like, I would say 50% of builders or plumbers are allergic to putting in tileable shower trays.
yeah.
Once you mention it, they're like, oh, no, because they don't want to stand over it if it leaks in 6
Especially
months' time.
upstairs, as you said, which is where most showers are. So yeah, it is.
Yeah, and there's movement in floor joists, whereas if you're doing it downstairs, it's a no-brainer because you probably have a concrete floor under it. It's not going to move or whatever, It doesn't matter as much as if it leaks. But that's my 2 cents on kind of shower trays.
Yeah, I'm
And
fully
enclosures
aligned with you there. Now I'm just going to circle back on all of that and say I still feel that tiled looks best. It's super elegant. It's flush all the way through. It's really, really nice. But with all those caveats that if it's just not workable, it's not worth the risk necessarily. Like there's lots of other options.
Yeah.
I'll come to shower fittings in a second, right? But on shower enclosures, I'd like not having it closed in fully. I really, really like just having one shower screen with as like the minimal fuss around it as possible. So maybe just like my downstairs one is just like a black strip. My upstairs is just a white strip. All the rest of it is plain. There's gorgeous brass ones you can get. I couldn't afford one at the time. They're too expensive, but they're beautiful. But
I hate
again, all of
enclosures
that.
in general, like, just because there's so much trim and bits and like framing
Yeah,
to them. So if you're buying off the shelf, the simpler the better. Like you have like
the
just a
simpler the
sheet of
better.
glass, very minimal frame, beautiful. But once you
Yeah.
get into sliders and hinge doors, the off the shelf ones have so much silicone that yellows, you know, like the
Hmm.
silicone trim and all that yellows, and there's just a lot of bulk on frame. No, like I
It
think
ruins it very quickly. Yeah.
if you have to go off the shelf, no, just get the simplest glass screen you can. But you
Yeah.
have to consider splash and stuff as well, like, because if you don't have a big enough enclosure, you'll have a soaked floor all the effing
Yeah.
time.
So that's the thing. Yeah. You have to go as big as you can. Some of them have a little flap on the end of it that can
Yeah.
be kind of helpful, although again, that's additional, just bulk, just like visual bulk and detail that I don't love the look of. But you, all of these things, it's the most important thing is to keep the space dry and stop leaking. That's
Yeah.
like item number one. And then you have to come to the visuals, and it's as sleek as you possibly can with the visual. You had a shower curtain in your guest bathroom, I think, in your last house.
Yeah, I had a halo shower curtain because it was a freestanding bath that you were showering
Mm,
in. And I really didn't want to do a built-in bath, but I needed to be able to shower there. So what I did is I ceiling mounted the shower head, and then
yeah.
so you could shower in the center of the bath, and then what they call a halo shower curtain that it is bolted to the ceiling and goes around like a hula hoop almost around the
Yeah.
bath.
Yeah.
So you could draw it that way. So you could draw it away like for most of the time, but for the
Yeah.
odd time a guest was showering there, you could pull it around you like that.
And that looks really nice. And you can get really nice material, like drapey, elegant kind of material for those. What was it like to shower in it though? Like, I don't know. I don't really like standing in
That's
shower
why
curtains.
I was very particular on the type of bath. It was an 800 wide solid bath. It
Mm,
wasn't a formed bath, so there was no flex in the bath when you stood in it, and had a really flat bottom, no curved sides.
mm.
So you had a big standing area, which was very comfortable to shower in, I would say.
Okay.
I would say, unpopular opinion, but I hated my open shower in my last house. In my
What?
guest bed, hated it. I
Oh
felt
my
it. I
goodness.
felt it was just exposed. I felt cold. Like I didn't like it. My
Yeah.
current one is under the attic stairs, and it's tiny. Well, like it's 800 by 800. It's not tiny, tiny, but you can close the door. Oh, I love the sound of the water in an enclosure. It
All
just feels
right.
like
Something
you're
to
in
think about.
a rainforest or something. And I just did a custom glass door. Not as expensive as you think, actually. You can buy
Mm,
the glass brackets and glass knob that bolt onto the wall, and then it's just a sheet of toughened glass, you know? So,
yeah.
like, it's just minimal, but it's so enclosed and cozy. And, like, I
Yeah.
just found my last place, because the ceilings were 3 meter ceilings in that bathroom, I felt cold when I stood in the shower when it
Okay.
was
Interesting.
open. So I
I have
wouldn't do
open
that
showers
again.
and I don't find that, but I have standard height ceilings and very small bathrooms. So I'm like, my whole room is the enclosed part.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, they can work. I just didn't like it in my last one. I just felt a bit exposed.
Yeah,
Um,
fair. Fair.
but
Personal
then when you're
preference.
talking about
All that to say
your,
though,
yeah.
huh?
No, go ahead.
All that to say, don't necessarily rule out shower curtains.
No, love them.
Obviously those plasticky ones that are close to you and kind of somehow stick to you are awful, but you can get, that nice, like look for like nice drapey material. And if it's away far enough, like it can look really good. And I think that, pull back and it's almost like a curtain it can look good. Wouldn't
And then
necessarily
finally,
rule it out.
before we move on to baths, because we have to talk about actual baths and freestanding versus built-in, and that your shower controls and all that, we kind of briefly spoke about this mechanical, but like where you have them. So your shower head's
Yeah.
usually about like 2,000 meters from the floor, finished floor level, for kind of
Mm-hmm.
standard height, maybe a little bit taller, maybe 2,100 if you're a tall person or you're both tall
Mm-hmm.
people in your house or whatever. And then your shower controls are typically like about a meter to 1,200, something similar to your wall
Yeah.
taps kind of height off the floor. But just have a think about where the controls are relative to the shower heads, that you're
Yeah.
not soaking yourself trying to turn it on, or you're getting hit with cold water, so that you can reach those controls and not be getting soaked, or you don't have to get in under the shower to turn them on.
Because there's nothing worse than a shower where you're not washing your hair And it's
And
really
now you've
difficult to not
inadvertently
get it
washed
wet
your
because
hair.
when you turn on the shower, you're like
Yeah.
trying to stand back and like do a
Yeah.
reach around, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's my kind of 2 cents on showers.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
like slightly off topic, but I put in a steam shower unit in this time because directly above our space is the attic space. We had a bit of storage space up there. We bought a standard enough steam unit for a couple of £100 on Amazon, and you can plumb your little enclosed shower. So there's a plus for an enclosed teeny tiny shower and make it a steam room.
Make a steam room. And also, if you have the space, get a sauna. I'm obsessed with saunas for houses. They're not that expensive. They're very, very cheap and energy efficient to run, and they're really good for your health. So if you're listening and you're thinking about getting a sauna, this is your tick. So another thing I'll say about showers as well is when you are designing it and wherever it's going, design to have an alcove shelf built into it. I feel really strongly about this. Your stuff has to go somewhere. Like it has to go somewhere,
and not
it's going
on
to
show.
Yeah, not on show. It's going to gather around the corner, the floor. You're going to have to put in a shelf or something like that. So get an alcove shelf cut into the wall. I like the full length or the full width of the shower, but just a little box even is fine. And just know that your stuff has to go somewhere, and you may as well do that.
If you forgot to do it, or you're too far down, the line now, and you haven't put one in, there's a Finnish brand called Naka, Naka. They do these beautiful, kind of really simple powder coated metal shelves, just like a little line. Like you wouldn't even see them, and they come in every colour to match tiles. So that's a really nice after the fact option. They do adhesive ones if you don't want to drill to your tiles, but you can get drill-in ones as well. So they're a really nice clean option that aren't those hideous chrome suction ones that you sometimes see in shops.
We will put that in the show notes. I think match your shower hardware to your taps as much as you can. If it's black, go black again. If it's chrome, brush steel, whatever, go again. And I love a separate shower hose just for doing a body shower or whatever. It's just way more flexible.
Or hosing down the glass, cleaning down the glass.
Hosing down the glass, just cleaning the bath out, whatever. Baths themselves. I have a built-in bath because that's just what the space fit.
I have a built-in.
I need to reseal it. We keep promising to do a live episode and not a YouTube episode where I reseal
I think that was you now.
And I still haven't done it. I actually have your stuff here to patch up my chipped paint in my wall and reseal my bath. It will happen, listeners. I'm just lazy, so sorry about that. Anyway.
But I have a built-in this time as well because we were building it into an oil. Last time I did the freestanding. I don't know if I'd bother with freestanding again. I know everyone's obsessed with them. I don't know. It just gives awkward spaces to clean around, in my opinion.
The cleaning. It's like under your couch, and bathrooms, because they get wet, I suppose, the dust just kind of sticks to places and corners and
they do
around
look
the
beautiful.
feet.
I give you that. Like they do look beautiful. But I think like a built-in bath, I use the same stone for my kitchen as the stone top on the bath, and I think that looks really nice as well.
Yeah.
But like each to their own, I guess. The only thing I would say is if you're showering in a bath, just really consider the material, that it's not flexy and plexy, and you have a good flat, wide standing area so people can shower comfortably, and that the shower head is long enough or positioned well enough that you're not standing up against the edge of a bath.
Yeah, you're not like leaning across the sloped bit at the back that you can't wash your hair.
Yeah. We didn't even really get to talk about your tiles.
I know, I just love.
But to be honest,
do you know what? That just means we're going to have to do a whole separate tile episode.
Yeah, I think so. And like I suppose bathrooms are just complicated. They are big topics, but like it's about nailing the layout first, and then we can talk about the prettiness of your tiles and stuff like that.
Yeah, we will do that later. Okay.
In another episode, maybe.
All right, we've loads for the show notes there. I'll stick everything in, and we will see you all next week.
Bye.
If you found this episode helpful, please hit subscribe, give us a few stars, and best of all, send it to someone else who you think would like it so they can subscribe too. Thank you.